The blog stuff is so important. The SEO stuff is so important, and it's such a long play too.
Exactly.
It's like we need to
we
put in
gotta-
the effort and the time and the money now. Which, like, what a killer business to be in. Where you're just like, hey, look, I'm gonna do all this work, and you're gonna pay me all this money, and you're not gonna see any results for like a year. You're like, no.
Cool. I feel good about this.
Yeah. This is scary.
Fortunately, it's the same person. I say like person as if she's not like a whole company, a whole team.
Right.
They manage my social media too. So
Nice. Okay.
that is very
And
nice.
what do they do for that? They post for you?
Yeah.
Do they create the content?
They create all the content. I'm giving them like, I'll film with them. We'll do different things. Obviously, it's a lot of like photography from jobs, and they'll be like, hey, go and do this. Hey, what about this idea?
Do they do the photography, or do you take the pictures?
No, it is all older photography. I haven't had a project finish in a while that's really like photography worthy, or not even worthy, but like
advertising, marketing worthy.
That looks
it's
like
specific,
it's a finished product. It's like, that it's going to go on the website. It's a lot of like piecemeal, and people are like, oh, well, we're going to keep a bunch of our old furniture
like,
with this new stuff, and we're not going to change the wall color, and we're not going to do all these other things that we said we wanted to do that would have given this like a very finished, made over.
Right.
And so I'm like, well,
your industry.
I'm glad I helped somebody.
Of course.
Like, I still am glad to do it.
You're
but I'm
like,
like,
I could have turned this into
need
some
new
really
content.
Good, yes.
And I hate that. I hate that feeling. So I'm like,
and you don't want to post something that people are going to probably get the wrong impression of, right? They're going to be like, wait a minute.
Super conscious. Yeah.
You're like, but I recommend they don't do all those things, and they wanted to do those, and that's why it looks like that. And you're like, it's like it has to be your best foot forward.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially with people in industries like y'all's. What your work is your billboard, right? It's like the lawn care companies. You know, they get business by just who the hell's doing your lawn? It looks awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you're a lawn care company and somebody's like, yeah, I want to use you guys, but I'm not going to water my grass. And they're like, well, it's going to look like shit then.
Okay, well then, why?
It's like similar with you. So Rachael with Perennial Design.
Perennial Design Studio.
Perennial Design Studio. Tell us about your business. What do you guys do?
Basically, I help clients through the entire process of remodeling or renovating. That's usually like kitchens and bathrooms for the most part, but it can be a whole house remodel. It can be somebody's like adding on an addition or
new build.
I don't do a whole lot of new builds. I don't do a whole lot of new construction, but that is absolutely something that other interior designers do. So mostly what I'm doing is renovations and remodels in older homes, and I'm helping people through that entire process, finding all their vendors and subcontractors and all of that, helping with selections.
Okay, so you're not only, I think that's a misconception from consumers, right?
Yes.
It would be for me, is I'd be like, okay, the interior designer is going to tell me like what color and what to do this. When in reality, you're doing that.
Yeah.
But in reality, you're also organizing the whole project. So let's go in a little bit of detail on that, because I think that's important to differentiate exactly what the interior designer does, because I think some people get sticker shocked when they see prices because they might have an idea of what task y'all will perform during the project and what you don't. Then when you learn actually all that you do versus not having that person, you understand, okay, that's where the cost is associated, right?
So I've sent in proposals for like a spec build, like semi-custom for a developer. It's like a 4,000 square foot house. This is no tea, no shade to this person. Yeah. Very cool guy. But I sent him a scope for I sent out a scope to him for selections for the whole house. That is plumbing, tile, cabinets, literally every finish, fixture, everything in that house for 4,000 square feet, and sent it to him. And he did have some sticker shock. And I think he's not worked with a designer before, not understanding like the value that this will bring. Like, you will see it back in dividends easy. Yes. And he sent something back and he said like, that's a lot of money to just pick some stuff out. And I was like, you don't understand, like, you don't, and that's okay. Yeah. And there's, sometimes we can get people there and get them to understand. And usually it's like, It's a friend. It's my entire business is from referrals. It's from previous contractors and previous clients who understand the depth of the work and the scope, and people who are like, this is so much. That's people who get into the weeds with it usually, and they're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I can't do this by myself. I'm like, I know.
And you know what happened?
I'm happy to help.
You're like, I told you.
Very, very
it's
happy
a
to help.
full-time job.
Yeah, I'm like, I got you. Let's go.
Why I give it. I think that that's even more important. Like, let's say you're remodeling your kitchen, and they're both people in the house have a job. Mm-hmm. It's like that is going to be more of a stressful environment than what it should be, which is exciting and fun. You're getting in your kitchen, you're doing all that.
Yes.
So you should have somebody in your corner that handles, obviously the big decisions, because you can see that vision. You know it's going to look good because of your experience and just probably some innate ability there too.
100%.
You know, and then the other side is like there's a lot of kind of boring ass admin bullshit that comes along with those things.
Absolutely.
But it's super important. And if you mess it up, you're going to be very unhappy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's kind of one of my, it is one of my greatest strengths, and what made me, I kind of just happened upon interior design and didn't really know that there was anything between like a decorator, quote unquote, and an architect. And then being like, oh, that's exactly what interior design is.
Ah, that's a good way to put it.
And like, it's the marriage of the creative and the analytical. A lot of creatives don't have like the organizational
Which would be decorator,
brain.
right?
Not necessarily. There's a lot of designers who I think go a little bit different route, or maybe just like figure out the processes to. I'm trying to think of the right way to describe this. I like the organizational part of it and the technical part of it in construction. So there are plenty of designers that will do furniture and more styling and everything, which I enjoy too, but they stay in that lane more because they don't like the really like analytical, technical side of construction.
Right.
Because it's like that marriage of the creative and the technical, which I really, really love.
Well, and that's a super unique skill. Because that's like
so many creatives are like,
oh my god,
I can't hold it all together, and it's like, oh no.
And you see that a lot in like, somebody else that we met is very similar to you, Plant Savvy. Have you heard of them? It might
that
be
sounds
a good
so familiar. Yeah.
So they do like they'll come in either commercial or residential, and they'll arrange and design the plant life in the home.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's
yes,
like,
I do need that intro. I have some aspirational things that I would very much use their
you would love
expertise.
her. She's awesome too.
That's really cool.
But she's the same way as you. It's like she's obviously creative because you have to be able to kind of see and feel that. But then there's the business side of it too that she's also really good at. But I find that that's extremely rare. So, for the future entrepreneurs, if you're that creative that has this skill, right, that you want to turn into a business, what's your advice to them if they don't have that, like, hey, I need to be analytical about this, I need to run this business, I need to do that? Did you feel some of that when you first started, or did you
I needed to like do everything and be good at everything?
Yeah, or did you maybe feel like, all right, if you're analytical, so you're good at it, but I'm imagining the person who's not, and they're like, man, I can just see exactly what's going to look great, I would be a great interior designer. A partner with somebody who's more analytical, or maybe that's your spouse that can help you with like the business side.
I was going to say, figure out some collaboration that can help you pick up on that. Because I know other designers and have worked for other designers who are immensely talented, and they got to a point where they had a team to help them hold it all together, which helps. But if you're just starting out, I would think you kind of have to find those people to partner with. Find the processes, maybe it's different software, figuring out what works for your brain. Like I'm thinking of my brother who has ADHD, and he's like, didn't really know it for a long time, and then realized like, oh, I've just developed all of these processes to like keep me on the rails.
Oh, cool.
I've like, I didn't even like really consciously
like
do it.
When you're bowling.
Yes.
Keeps you in.
Yeah. So I think it's that same kind of thing where you find those bumpers, you learn what bumpers you need and put those in place. Yeah.
That's really good advice. And I think it actually goes beyond kind of y'all's industry too, because most entrepreneurs are not the attention to detail person. They're not the really good at some of the admin stuff. Most of the time they're very unorganized, right?
Like
and they just have
Bad.
this
Yes.
other skill that allows them to be a good entrepreneur. And at some point in their lifespan of their business, probably within the first 2 years, they're like, all right, I got to have some help on this side of the house because
delegate. That is as soon as you can. As soon as you can. Do not wait. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Delegate anything that you
What was
can.
your first delegation
A
in your
CPA.
business? Okay, nice. Oh, God, yes. Oh, my God.
Because like taxes and insurance are two things
Yeah.
that like it gives me so much anxiety because it's all like another language to me.
Yes.
And even though I'm super analytical and organized, it's still just like, for whatever reason, that's just like, well,
It's also mega
me.
boring.
Yeah, it's so tedious.
Yes.
Where like, the first year that I could do that. And also in years before that, I had some free help, and that was my dad. So
Nice.
if you have any friends,
Use
family, use them. Please do. And especially like if ask somebody for some advice. And then if they're like, oh, I can help you with that,
Boom.
take it. I'm like, take it. Do not, because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to ask for this. I can do it all myself. Because also the culture is kind of like, we should just know how to do all these things and be able to do them all ourselves.
Big time, man.
Meanwhile, being like maybe a single parent and owning your own business and like still it's
Yep.
too much.
I will tell you that I completely agree with that. And I also relate to having that feeling of I don't need help. I can figure this out myself. And like
humility. Please
Yeah.
have humility.
And you probably can
let
figure it
people
out
help
at
you.
some point, right?
Sure.
But what's going to happen is it's going to take you way longer.
Way too long.
And you should just be building your business, you know?
Meanwhile, and you like for me, for example, I had like a ton of anxiety about all of these things and wound myself up about all of these things
Unneeded.
unnecessarily. And like, I remember like for 2 years I had a CPA do it, and it was costing a lot of money but I like didn't want to have to keep asking my dad to do it. And he was like, Rach, please, I don't mind. And I was like, okay, fine.
You're like, thank you.
Thank you.
Takes
so
a village,
much.
man.
Yeah.
And then the insurance
does.
stuff, it's important to have an agent you trust, right? If you have an agent, and I've had that.
Relationships, build the relationships.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they can see where you're going, they believe in your business, it's only going to help their business, right? They want your business.
So true.
But if you know them and trust them, then you can just feel confident knowing, all right, I'm not getting screwed over. I've got the coverage I need. I'm not paying more than I have to, right? So those things are huge.
Yeah, and somebody that you can actually go to with questions to
Right.
help you with things when, like, if you just, do everything on your own, you might not have.
Right.
You're just calling customer support.
Yeah.
And
My
not
advice-
necessarily going to get somebody who cares the same,
100%. You're calling an 800 number. It's the same. My advice for new business owners in that realm is find a good local agent that you're going to see and you can talk to.
That's exactly who I have now.
That's amazing. And then a good accountant as well. If they're local, that's great. At the beginning, right? Because you don't need much. They're not going to charge you a ton. But having you
could even have somebody like set up your books and teach you some things so that, somebody who actually knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
And that'll save you the time and the stress and anxiety. Get you set up, even if you can do it yourself. Maybe you don't need them to do your taxes, but like show you the ropes, teach you the things, get organized for next year or whatever, have somebody get you started.
And there are just so many complexities when it comes to taxes because it depends on how your business is set up. Is it an LLC? Is it an S Corp? Is it a C Corp? Is it partnership?
All of that is just like...
And it should be. It should not be in your head. You've got enough things dealing with as an entrepreneur.
It's exactly how I sell myself a lot of times where I'm like, hey, do you know how you hire all of these other people to do these things? Like my process has been getting overwhelmed by the social media aspect of it and like what's good enough and what's right and how does this work and and being like, there are people who have whole ass degrees and businesses in this. And here I am being like, I can do it myself.
Yep.
And I'm like, now what if maybe my job is a little bit like that? Right. And what if like it's a lot, especially for a whole remodel. Maybe you're doing multiple rooms, even one room. It's a lot to hold together. And like, maybe you just ask for a little bit of help from somebody who
you're not painting.
Already knows the process.
Right. You're not painting in the remodel. You're just getting the contractors there. You're doing the work there, right? It's the same thing. It's like,
yeah, exactly. I'm not doing it all myself. People are like, have you ever thought about being a GC and like, which it would be cool if I could sub everything out myself.
Right.
That would be huge. But then that also, I'm like, no, that's part of the reason I work with
more
GCs.
Insurance. It's more.
And then I don't know that I don't even know how I would do that. Cause then like I'm holding the whole process together as the GC and I'm doing all of the selections and the plans and the,
I would not envy that.
I would have to take on a lot fewer projects, I
Right.
think. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I don't
exactly.
really know if I want to do that.
It would maybe be a
That's
distraction.
what, again, let's find the person who's good at that and
Right.
is already established and knows what they're doing, has been doing it way longer than I have.
Right.
As long as I've been doing my job, maybe.
Right. So let's talk about that because that's interesting, and I'm actually super curious about this. So maybe there's somebody out there right now listening that's thinking about remodeling their kitchen. Mm-hmm. Can you help describe the relationship between you and the GC and how that works? Like, what's the first call that homeowner should make right now if they're like, man, I really want a new kitchen? Is it a GC? Is it you?
Me.
Okay.
It is definitely me because the GC, a lot of times people get in touch. The jobs that come to me from the GCs that I've worked with are when there's not enough research done. There's not enough of the planning done in advance. Like, okay, well, like we need a plan. Let's say we're just tearing out your kitchen. We're moving things around a little bit, changing the layout. We have to have a plan drawn out. You could go to just a cabinet designer and they can probably do some plans for you. But
Right.
interior designer is then also going to help you with all the finishes. And that's just like, it's the building block. It's the foundational starting piece. I'm
Yep.
going to be able to help you plan. And the better plan we have, the more information we have, the more accurate and efficient a contractor is going to be. If they come in and they're just kind of like, I don't know, maybe this, maybe that, they're not going to be able to give you a real accurate bid. And there are probably going to be some things that I'm going to catch on the front end, the questions I'm going to ask the client, and that I'm already going to know information that the contractor is looking for, that I'm going to be able to like streamline some stuff in the beginning to get a really accurate bid and to kind of like head a few things off at the pass.
Okay.
That
So,
you guys may not even be thinking of.
right. And the GC might not because they're thinking more functional. How's this going to work? Right.
Or they're just going to get to it. They may get to that decision-making process. They're thinking of it, but maybe not like ahead of time as much.
Right.
They're not going to be as far in advance sometimes,
Right.
depending on the contractor. And then, then we get to it, and then it's problem solving. If I'm not involved in the project, well, then you're slowing down, and they have to pull the subs off the job, and you're figuring some things out. You're, maybe waiting for things to arrive because you waited too long to order because you didn't know when you should order.
Then it's maybe going to cost more than you thought. And then when you
Time is
pull
money.
subs off of a job, just so everybody knows what that means is
Oh, yes.
that probably means they might not be able to hit your job back again for weeks, months.
Yes.
Depending on what's happening in the
And then
market.
somebody got sick. Somebody's got a family emergency. Well, now we got to find a new,
Right. Yeah.
just like stay the course.
Yes.
Keep on target.
So do you pick the GC? Does the homeowner pick the GC? Both?
Collaborative.
Okay.
Both. Sometimes a client will come to me with a GC already.
Gotcha.
Sometimes a client is like, okay, well, maybe these people, but also who else do you have that you've worked with before?
Right.
And sometimes people are like, oh, no, I have no idea. Please bring
Help me.
whoever. Yep.
Gotcha.
And so part of the scope a lot of times that I do is building in 2 to 3 contractors that I have 2 to 3 guys come out, look at everything, or girls. I'm working with a great women-owned contracting company now.
Oh, cool.
You guys should get them in here too.
Let's do it.
And
That'd be a great conversation.
Mercado Group. Shout out to Mercado Group.
I've heard of them.
Yeah, they've been at the same meeting that I met Trent at.
Gotcha. That's why I've heard of them. I'd let Lindsay do that, so that way they could
Perfect.
talk women in business stuff.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if I'd.
All right.
I'm happy to do it, but
You're talking women in business stuff
that's
right now.
Yeah, see,
Right now.
I
Okay.
can do it.
So yeah, I bring 2 to 3 people in and go over basically like all the options with them. We have a plan already, so they know exactly what they're quoting. Everybody's quoting the same thing.
Nice.
They're asking the same questions. They're all giving their own take. So then you can, as close as possible, then compare apples to apples instead of apples to oranges or like
Gotcha.
pineapples. Who knows?
So, and then the next step would be then you've got 3 quotes. The homeowner has 3 quotes. You're sitting
they
there
get to
going
decide.
over them. They decide.
And I'm doing bid review, which is an important part of the process because everybody quotes a little bit differently.
Right.
And I want to make sure like they might have allowances built in, which is like your budget, literally an allowance of like, let's say square footage price for tile. So some people may not have that in the budget. Some people may bid a little bit higher, knowing like, oh, that's a backsplash tile. That may be more like $8 to $10 a square foot versus, or do we want to just do a subway? You know, like there's all of these little pieces that we want to have built in to make sure, oh, well, he quoted tile super high. He quoted tile super low. What else is there a discrepancy between to make sure everything, we know how to balance everything, and then I can go through and review that with everybody. And, you know, and there's some people who are like just a better fit. Like I have a contractor who I love working with. He doesn't really like doing bathroom remodels, but he's great on like, I had him quote like a screen porch sunroom kind of job. He loves doing a bigger remodel job.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's also just like knowing.
So you know who's good at what. Where, okay.
Yeah.
And that's valuable for the homeowner too. Okay, so then if they choose the contractor they want, price, whatever, then your fee is not baked into that, right? So you're not subbing that out to then the contractor. So your fee is separate from what that estimate would be.
Yeah, my fee is just a set rate that is based on the scope of work.
Right.
So I'm like listing out everything that we're doing that addresses, okay, this is our plan.
Yeah.
This is our outline, our rubric, you know,
Yeah.
to say here's everything that we're doing. And then my fee is based on that, based on like, you know, approximately how much time it's going to take me to do all those things and have the meetings and review and all of that.
So now what's the interaction during the project? So let's say all that's done, good to go, deposit's been made. What's the typical interaction? What could a homeowner expect if they're remodeling their kitchen and they've hired you and now they've hired the GC? Day to day, are they calling you to check on progress? Are they calling the GC? How does that work?
Yeah, a lot of times they're in more direct communication with the GC once things are getting going. Like, hey, what time are the guys arriving today? You know, hey, we've got this thing. Do we need to let the dogs out today? Whatever, you know, that kind of stuff they'll be in contact with. But a lot of times I'll be kind of liaison between contractor and
so if they're calling
hey,
you saying, hey, what time are they coming today? You can
yeah, I'm like,
call,
that's not me.
Right, okay, gotcha.
They'll be like, get in touch with so-and-so. They'll figure it out with you.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know when his guys are coming. Or her guys.
There you go.
What's been the most fun project you've worked on so far? I can tell you my most fun one that I saw on your website.
Okay, yeah, let's
and
hear
then
it.
you can think of yours.
Yeah.
I'm a fiend for outdoor living spaces.
Yes.
Like our next house, I don't care how the house could be 400 square foot, and if it had 2,000 square foot of outdoor living,
That's right.
I would be so pumped.
That's right.
Like that's all I want. So the outdoor screened-in porch, outdoor living thing that you did,
that was an addition that they put on that house.
looks so good.
Yes, such a good choice.
Perfect. And then my second one that you've done that I saw on the website is the bar.
Yes.
The home bar one.
Yes, I love that bar. And that whole house, I think it had like one owner. I wish I had gotten to, that's probably one of the funnest ones I've done. And I wish I would have gotten to work in the rest of their house. She was doing so much herself and she was doing a great job. And I was like, yeah, I don't think you need me, but I'm like jealous that you're getting to do all this. I want to do it with you. Yeah. She, so I think that house was in Donaldson. I think it was built in 60s or 70s and it only had one owner. So much of it was still original. It was like very funky, retro vibes. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I love this. But
oh my
I really
God.
liked that. And the client
Someday
was really cool
I want
too.
enough money to be able to like do something like that. You know, design a room to make it like, I see these videos on social media and stuff. Like these people like building these tiny bars in their backyard and like going all out on the design. And you walk inside and it looks like an Irish pub, you know.
Right.
I'm like, this is so sick.
Yeah.
So which one's been your favorite?
That screen porch is the same project that I did the furniture for the rest of the house in Oak Hill. That's definitely one of my favorites just because the colors that they liked were really fun and getting to do like so much of the house with them and getting to really push and play with that color is great because, you know, sometimes people are like, okay, so yeah, I'm not afraid of color. And then they show me like their cabinet color that they really like. And I'm like,
tan.
That is
white.
That is gray with like a whisper of green in it. I'm like, okay, that's cool.
I'm not afraid of color.
It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful. It's great. You know.
So
no
I would
problem.
imagine now that I think about it, the most fun ones are probably the ones that you resonate with, that you like in your personal style choice. Maybe.
Also getting to like push my style is fun and imagine something. So I don't have any photos. Well, I have I have crappy photos of this project, but a client of mine who's been a repeat client for years now, she found me like literally when I first started. And she has a very like glam, sophisticated, very feminine, like pink and purple and gold and lots of sparkly stuff.
Dolly Parton.
So, but more contemporary.
Oh, cool.
More contemporary than that, yeah. But yes, on that same kind of vibe. And like sheepskin, just so many things that is so not my style, but I love designing it because it is just like, I get to lean completely into just like glamour and glitz and all of the like pinks and purple. And like, how often do I get to do that?
That's cool.
It's so fun.
That makes sense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can definitely see that. I'm kind of changing my mind now. That actually might be a little bit more fun than
it is.
Just doing what you would normally do in your house if you were designing your house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause it's actually, and there are some really cool designers who, they have like it's kind of a different lane. They have their style and somebody is hiring them to put that style in their house. Like that's something that they already see that they like and they want to bring that in.
Gotcha.
Whereas I'm adapting a little bit more to somebody else's style. And I've said so many times in the past couple of years, being out of my comfort zone is my comfort zone. Like I just thrive on like, oh yeah, I don't know.
That's good.
Let's figure it out. That's completely different. I don't know. Weird. Let's do it.
So do people come to you with generally an idea, or do you go to them? Or they bring you in and they go, we don't know what we want, but we want something different.
Both. Everything, anything. Most commonly what I get is, and this is like what I preach, I'm like, if this is in your brain, we should work together. We should at least have a meeting. I know what I like. I don't know how to bring it all together. Like, I just don't know what goes, what looks right together. I can't figure out the space. I don't know what's really going to fit, because a lot of times people also like draw out their little plans, or their friend who, no tea, no shade, their friend who's a decorator or something draws out a little plan or something. Their husband thinks that they understand clearances in a bathroom. And then you actually go to put it on a plan. I'm like, so none of this is going to fit.
Right.
But here's how we can do it, and we can puzzle piece it together. Yeah. Or, we've been married for so many years, and we both just have a lot of our like stuff that we each brought to the marriage and to the house and everything. And like, I love blending styles of like making everyone happy and it meeting everybody's needs, and not just leaning into like, oh, well, my wife likes this and I don't really care. Like, no, dude, it's your house too. Like, let's blend it all together.
Because I think I would be like that. I think I would be like,
if you really don't care, that's totally fine. But I love it. There's a lot of guys who totally have like strong opinions and good taste a lot of times too. And I'm like, okay, yeah, we can blend this all together. Let's do it.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was gonna ask, what is your style, right? What's your favorite? And if you're designing your home,
very eclectic.
Okay.
Weird and all over the place.
Nice.
Like kind of.
Each room's different?
No. I mean, yes. But also, it's all just so blended. Like the commonality, the common thread is that it's just really eclectic. And there's like some antique pieces. There's some newer contemporary funky stuff.
Cool.
It's a lot of the mix of old and new, a lot of color, a lot of pattern. I'm also a maximalist. Like there's a lot of artwork. There's a lot of bold stuff everywhere. A maximalist. Yes. The first time I saw that, I've
ever heard that.
It was liberating. The first time I heard that and saw it, I'm trying to remember the designer that I saw it from.
I want shit everywhere, all over the walls.
Listen, literally. And she would like show her house and how she styled it and everything.
If it's done with
it's curated.
It looks really good. Curated. I can get behind it too.
It is the eclecticism and maximalism curated, where like it's not just shit everywhere and it's clutter. It's a lot of people think it's real tacky. Yeah. And that's fine.
Yeah. Because I would put myself on the minimalist spectrum.
And
I like modern, clean lines, straight lines. Mm-hmm. I like pretty normal colors.
I have to pull back on my taste a lot, which is a little bit why it's a stretch.
What makes you good at your job, you know?
Where they're like, that's a little bit much, or like, I don't want it super cluttered. And I'm like, that's
but
fine.
to your point though, I think I as a consumer would like to be a little pushed by if I were to hire you, right? I would want to be
That is also part of my job where they're like, okay, but I'm a little bit nervous about it, but I think that's just because like I can't see it. I don't know how to put together again.
Right.
I don't know how to bring it all together. It feels like, oh, is that too much? Does that clash?
Yeah.
And then me bringing it together and actually showing them the vision is like, oh my God, I love that. That's so cool. And I never would have thought to do that. And I'm like,
yeah,
let's go.
I got a pitch for you.
Okay.
How would you style design this room? Okay.
This room.
Yeah. Now don't go too hard on us because we've worked pretty hard on designing this.
So far, I'm not like hating anything. Like you've got a good color scheme. This is interesting art here. I like that.
Oh, that's cool. My in-laws made that. Look, it's Nashville skyline.
I was wondering. I was like, is that buildings? Yeah, that's cool.
The Nashville skyline.
Okay, I actually really love that. Yeah. So far, I'm not.
You're not hating it too much?
No, I think it's fine. I noticed this table. It's this is kind of like a fake live edge.
Yep.
But I do like it.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's a nice color. I like the texture.
I went to Kirkland's and got that.
This art here is the only thing that's bothering me.
You don't like that?
Listen, I like the no, I like the skyline. Love the Nashville skyline, of course, with the river. The blue is like kind of weird and out of place to me. And also, I'm just not a huge fan of like the broken up panels. But that's just me.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Well, we're gonna wrap. You know what I want is like
in
chairs
general
and not the table. I'd prefer like chairs in here.
Oh, we have like a little loungy moment.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of
as I lean all the way
from
I'm sorry.
Yeah. All right, so I got a question I usually ask people. Well, two. First one, let's go with kind of the more entrepreneur side of things. Mm-hmm. What's one thing that you know now in your business that you wish you would have known like day 0 or day negative 30, right? Right before you started.
Try not to stress so much about the ebb and flow.
That's big.
Real big. It's the have the abundance mindset. It is scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset, and it's just the culture a lot of times to like, I gotta hustle, I gotta grind, I gotta
right.
Keep going, one foot in front of the other. Do the same things, don't just like sit back like, oh, it'll come to me. Don't just sit back on your laurels, but also, like figure out the steps that you can be making, even if, this is kind of just like life advice too. What are the steps you can be making? What are the things you can do that are just like, okay, I don't really know if this is going to work, but it's something.
Yeah.
And it feels like, okay, at least I'm making a positive effort, one foot in front of the other, step in the right direction kind of thing.
Yep.
And you may not see the whole path right now.
Yeah.
You may not be able to know, okay, this is step 1 through 5 to get where I'm going. And if I just do these steps, then the clients will come and the money will come and all that. It may not be that clear. You may be like, okay, I have like one and like maybe that's the next one. I'm just going to go to this one. I'm just going to start here.
Yep.
And just trusting that process and trying not to have the anxiety of like, oh, but what if it always works out?
Mm-hmm.
It just does.
That's really good advice, and you're not the first person to say that. The other person, I can't remember who it was, they worded it a little differently, the same exact message. Their wording was be confident in yourself, right? Mm-hmm. Know that you're doing the right thing, whatever it is.
Do you believe in? Yes, it is believing in yourself. Do you know what you're doing?
Right. Probably not.
Well,
but that's also okay.
That's also, yeah.
You're going to make mistakes.
Right, you're going to make mistakes. Like, do you believe in yourself? Having that belief in yourself, that confidence in like, yeah, it'll come.
Keep going.
It'll happen.
Yep.
When I first started out, things were also started out in the spring of 2020.
Perfect. So did I.
What a great time. Yeah, where I was like, what have I done?
But then it actually turned out to be a pretty good time for construction.
Then by the fall, by the time all the layoffs chilled out and everybody was like, okay, I think I still have a job and money. Great. Now I'm home all the time. Oh my God.
Spend it.
Yes. And then everything happened and I was like super busy. Like, oh my gosh, am I going to have to hire somebody already?
Like, Elon Musk. Figure this thing out.
This is crazy. Yeah. And my brother, who has also he's younger than me, but has been an entrepreneur longer than I have. And he said, welcome to the roller coaster, Rach.
Oh, yes.
And I was like, That's fine. I like excitement and thrill. This is fine. Yeah, but then it does slow down and you're like,
when you're at the bottom.
I had a really slow period for a while where I didn't know what to do, and so I didn't do anything.
That is
I got
very
frozen.
Common.
And then once I just started trying shit, like, okay, I know I need to build my network. Let's start going and networking all the time. Hello, here I am now.
I used to say, exactly. I used to say, because same thing, ebbs and flows business, and it's quite uncomfortable most of the time. Even the highs, what I started doing was worrying about the next low, so I couldn't even enjoy the high. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. So then you're never happy.
Oh, no.
You know, you're just always worried.
Chasing that high.
Yeah, you're just like, fuck, we're busy now, but we're not going to be someday. And you're like, what the hell kind of life is this? But I found that like that anxiety just usually comes from, you should probably be doing a little bit more, right? You should, if you're worried about something, it's probably because you're not quite prepared, or like, man, I should have went to that networking event, or I should have done this, right? If you're doing those things and you're shaking the trees, stuff's falling, you know, and you can feel it, and then you can feel when it's not because you've sat back and didn't do quite enough.
And try not to be too hard on yourself. Yeah. Like you're sitting, and this is a hard one to break, but keeping that positive mindset as much as possible, and like reframing something as often as you can to be positive, of like, oh, I should be doing this. Okay, you know what? So my ex-husband's therapist said this: don't should on yourself. Like, don't shit on yourself. Don't should on. I should do this. I should be better. I should. Next time I'm going to do this. I need to break that habit. I need to get in the habit of doing it. Like, reframe it in a positive way as much as you can, instead of focusing on like a negative thought loop.
I should be doing this. I should be doing this. That's like, I like, just go do it.
Like, I'm just about, like, okay, then go do something.
Yeah, right.
Go do something.
Yeah, kind of quit feeling sorry for yourself at some point. Like,
yeah, a little bit.
Go there and get after it. It's not easy.
Again, even if it's like do something, it's kind of like, if for anybody who does yoga, getting on your mat is the hardest part.
Right. Yeah. Just like working
getting
out.
there, just landing,
driving to the gym, making the decision.
Just do something. Just like get up and do something, and then like 9 times out of 10, you're like, oh, it's like procrastinating. You're like, I might have made this a bigger deal in my mind than it needed to be. Yeah.
All right, last question.
Yes.
We've talked about all the great things about your industry and your company. What is the one aspect of your industry you wish you could change, or something you wish customers or consumers or potential clients would know before? Anything like that kind of stands out in your industry that either you specifically or your industry as a whole really finds frustrating or annoying?
This is a double-edged sword, because a lot of times people, like when I tell somebody I'm an interior designer, they're like, oh, I bet you love HGTV. No, I do not.
Yeah, it's actually the worst thing.
No, thank you. Actually, it ruined my industry. No.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Pretty close.
But then I talked to a contractor about it, and he was like, because I preach to a lot of people. One of my 60-second pitches is like, hey, a lot of people, you think you can DIY everything. I'm here to tell you, a lot of people can't. Some people can't.
Most people can't.
Most people can't.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
It's a whole industry. Yeah, exactly.
And so... so I talked to a contractor about it recently. He was like, oh, I love that, because people get into the weeds and they're like, shit, this is a lot of work. Oh my God, I messed up. And then they realize, then they really value you. And
then getting them to hire you is a little bit easier.
A little bit easier.
They're like, all right, I see the value in this dollar amount now, because this was very hard. It's interesting.
Yeah. So,
double edge.
But that's a lot of times that is the hardest thing. There's still sticker shock when somebody's getting ready to hire me. There's a lot of jobs that I don't sell because they have the sticker shock, and I've done all I can do to sell them on, like, listen, I'm helping you hold this all together. There's a lot of value in that. And sometimes people just still think that they can do it all themselves. They've seen enough Instagram reels and enough things that they're like, yeah, I can do that, and on a shoestring budget. And I'm like, you can, and it takes so much work.
And time.
Yes, time is the thing. Yeah, when I say work, actually, I do mean time.
Yes, yeah. And if you can, can afford it, if you can find it in your budget, don't do it yourself.
Yeah, and if you have a house and kids and both of you work full time, I'm like, yeah, sure, you can do it. It's going to take you like
You just
3
got
years.
another full-time job. That's what
Facts.
you did.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, thank you so much. Perennial Design Studio.
Yes.
If you guys want to contact her, she's on the MyHome app. And I can't emphasize enough, if you're getting anything remodeled or added, get at least talk to an interior designer.
We can just have a consultation. We
Yep.
can just have a conversation, meet once or twice.
That's it.
Just get a plan together. Maybe that's all you need.
Well, hey, I do want to say I respect the hell out of entrepreneurs. I know how hard the game is.
Same. Game recognized game.
Yeah, exactly. So, that's a big part of why we're doing these conversations.
I love it. Yeah.
I find it helps so much to know you're not alone in the struggles and the highs and the lows. So keep getting after it. Keep grinding. You guys are killing it. And thanks for coming in. It's a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. You too.